数谁跟谁的？他说黑人都是一个样的，85%以上，只有15%或者5%，那么少数部分人是有良知的，基本上他都是讲中国话的黑人，越讲中国话的黑人坑你越厉害。最后千万不要可怜他们，你要记住这个东西，千万不要可怜他们，不管是他们家里怎样了，不要可怜他们，这是最主要，你把这句话放在心里，对待黑人，行了。
Now this is thought I'd throw this in here. Okay.
Yeah, this might be upsetting to some people.
I don't know. Would it? I mean,
Yeah.
racism is never great.
You don't know for sure. I'm just saying.
Here's the thing. This was actually a friend of a friend. Okay, it's one of those situations. But he sent it to me. His friend, who's currently a teacher in university in China, got this as an essay, a class essay. And it just really shows you the very blatant attitude, racist attitude that you have in many aspects in China.
I think it's more like of this is the most anecdotal thing to show one essay. The problem is this was submitted in good faith because they knew that this would be fine to submit.
Yeah.
And that's the problem, is that this type of behavior, this racism, is tolerated and encouraged.
Yeah, I'm not going to try and defend it as an isolated incident, because every single time I went out in public in China with my black friends, I would hear the comments from the local public would be calling him a black ghost or the N-word equivalent, and which saying like, "Oh, look how ugly he is," or "Look how
so bad."
Yeah, that kind of nonsense. It's very, very normal. If you have a conversation with the Chinese person, and for some reason Africa or something comes up, they have some very racist things to say. Yeah. I've made a lot of videos about this, and I'm going to just put it out there and say that it's common enough that it's
the most racist
general.
country I've ever been to.
It's general. Yeah. It's not like, and you can always say this, there are only a few like bad eggs or whatever. No, in China, exactly, bad piss eggs. In China in general, there's just racism.
It's a big problem. Anyway, the gist of this is that he doesn't like that black people are having sex with Chinese women, and he wants them all to get out of China.
I mean, we'll read it. It's simple. Okay?
Read some of it.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to say the N-word. No. These days, Chinese people started to hate the what?
Black people.
The black.
Yeah, I guess he means
bad black people. African men think Chinese women are beautiful, and what on earth does that even say? Sky? Is that sky?
I think people can get the idea. They could probably just read it themselves. Our monitor is very far away.
Well, okay. It's a little hard to read from you. In Guangzhou, Guangdong province, millions of black people are there.
Let's see how many there are.
Yeah, there's definitely not millions. I think it peaked at about maybe 200,000 at the most ever.
16,000.
16,000. In France, the black people has changed France.
Millions, apparently, right?
Yeah. Anyway, he goes on and on. You can freeze frame and read it, like you said. It's just horrible racist drivel. He says the N-word a bunch of times, and it's just nonsense. But just have to show it, because this is pervasive, and this is something that doesn't get talked about enough. Is the racism that exists in Chinese society. And the reason why it's important to point this out is because the Chinese government very often pulls the race card.
Yeah.
So they try to, when someone criticizes the Chinese government, not Chinese people, but the Chinese government, Xi Jinping made a bad decision, or the Chinese government is running a concentration camp. They say, don't say that because it's racist and it's going to create anti-Asian hate. And then they try to claim Asians as their own, as if somehow the Chinese government is linked to all Asians.
They own everyone.
Yeah. But it is one of the most racist societies in the world. And remember, like, when they wouldn't let black people into McDonald's and they were kicking black people out on the streets in Guangzhou. I mean, we've seen it firsthand. We've experienced it firsthand.
It's bad.
Xenophobia.
It's as bad as you think.
Yeah, it's xenophobia and racism is bad. So this letter is just another very clear indication as to how bad it is in China.
Yeah.
And there's a language barrier that prevents most people from seeing the ugly truth of this. But when you speak Chinese...
And this essay is kind of breaking that language
Yeah,
barrier.
it breaks that language barrier. So anyway, just so you guys know, don't think that, it's all cool.
It's an issue.
It's an issue that needs to be sorted out. Yeah.
You know, Henry Kissinger, one of the worst people that ever existed.
Can this guy just go away? He's just turned 100.
Think about this.
What?
Did you hear the Anthony Bourdain quote?
No.
It was like, every time you go to Cambodia, you're reminded about why something bad should happen to Henry Kissinger or something like that, right?
Oh, really?
He talks shit about Henry Kissinger. Then what happened soon after that?
Oh, he committed suicide?
Well, That's the joke going around.
Yeah,
right
okay,
now.
I see.
Anyway,
Yeah.
not to make jokes.
Kissing the ass of Xi Jinping, you know?
Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
a Chinese person on Twitter said, by the way, Henry Kissinger a while back, he met up with the ambassador, right?
Yeah.
American ambassador to China, the new one, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what's it called? Oh, so anyway, there was a Chinese person on Twitter that said, a friend of the CCP, not Chinese people, okay? Had realist Kissinger actually spent some time with ordinary Chinese people, he might have had some more realistic views about China.
Yes.
If you don't know, Henry Kissinger was partly responsible or largely responsible for the modern day problem we have with China today.
Yeah.
Because of how much relations were opened with an evil government that was in power. I believe Kissinger just had a tanky propensity, in a way, to just be okay with dictatorship and to be okay with opening or normalizing relationships with a country that had a very evil leadership responsible for killing tens of millions of its own people.
Yeah, and oppressing its own people and being absolute villains.
Yes, and not to mention his foreign policy in Southeast Asia. So people around the world are either celebrating his 100th birthday or very upset with his 100th birthday.
Yeah, because he won't stop. It's like, you can always look back at like evil men and be like, well, at least they're not here still causing shit.
Right.
Like Mao Zedong. He sucks. He will always leave a very big dent on...
He's dead.
But he's dead, so, it's like he finally shut up. But old Kissinger, man, this guy, he's going to outlive us all, sitting there making bad decisions and, causing trouble for the world.
The legacy. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah.
I just wanted to give a sober Chinese perspective.
And I mean, the reply was to this whole thing where it's like a great thinker, a curious learner, a trailblazer in U.S.-China relations, and an old friend of Chinese people. Happy 100th birthday, Dr. Kissinger.
He's not a friend of Chinese people.
No, he's a friend of the CCP. Yeah.
Who's the greatest enemy of the Chinese people.
Absolutely.
You got Winston here. How you feeling, buddy? Today we're talking about the face filter apocalypse. Bloop, 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 bloop. Is this blackface?
She had bad teeth, tobacco-stained teeth. She had a big square face.
What's wrong with a square face, Winston?
And I think that's the worst part of these face filters is that they are a lie. It's not reality.
When I take a breath, you fill up my lungs.